everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and today's video is going to be a spoiler reading vlog for the first trilogy in the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. So obviously this video does contain spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, you haven't read it, please stop watching. If you're okay with spoilers or you have read it, obviously continue watching. But yeah, let's get right into it. So I've just finished reading the first 140 pages of Red Rising. I am really enjoying this one so far. So much has happened already in the first 140 pages. I forgot how fast-paced and action-packed this book was. So first of all, there's a competition between the Red clans to compete for the Laurel. The Laurel gives them better food, better medicine, better tools, so they can collect more helium-3. It's obvious that they've instilled competition between the Reds to stop them banding together and realising how crap their lives are and rebelling. If they're all fighting amongst each other, they're easier for the Golds to control. And they're consistently lied to as well about how the work they're doing is so important for humanity. There's videos constantly playing about how, you know, the Reds are sacrificing their lives, sacrificing themselves to mine the helium-3. And these are basically played on a loop. But there's also a very brief mention of the Sons of Ares, which is a rebel group, which obviously plays a part later in the book. Darrow's clan believe that they have won the Laurel this time round. And they're all so excited to collect the Laurel. They've already decided what they're going to do with the like different flavours of alcohol and things like that. But actually the entire competition is rigged, so it's always the Gamma clan that wins. There's another way that the Golds and society can instill infighting between the Reds. If they're resenting one another, especially if they're all resenting one clan, there's more infighting. They're not looking around them and they're not realising actually the problem is with society, not with the Gamma clan, if that makes sense. It distracts them from rebelling if they're constantly infighting with each other. However, Io, Darrow's wife, can clearly see the society for what it is. And another thing that I've sort of noticed as well is surely if you're lying to the Reds, you're making them think that they're not important. Obviously they know that they're not higher up than the Golds. They know they're sort of they know that they're in a caste system, but surely if you're trying to pretend to them and lie to them that they're giving up their lives, you know, they're playing a really important part of society, the other members of society that interact with them would give them a bit more respect. For example, there's obviously they're not aware that the rest of society are actually on Mars. They believe that the other colours are off-world still. There's only a select few people that are there with them. So one of them is a group of guards who are greys. Greys treat the Reds like absolute animals. There's absolutely no respect. And obviously, if you think you're better than someone, you're not going to respect them. But surely, to sort of play the game, to feed into the lie, you would at least pretend to have a little bit of respect for the Reds if you want to make the lie believable. So yeah, then moving on with the story, Darrow and Io are caught in a restricted area. The punishment for this is lashing. Darrow gets lashed, I think it's 48 lashes, and then Io begins to be lashed. And then during her lashing, she sings what they refer to as the Forbidden Song. And I think this song is associated with rebellion or associated with uprising. For some reason, there's some Golds and some important people at their lashing, which I think is a bit of a coincidence. And that's probably why Io decided to sing this song. And then they punish her by hanging her. Now on Mars, there's obviously no gravity. So to hang someone, they make the loved ones they describe it as pull the legs down. The loved ones are playing a part in the hanging, which I think is just awful. I mean, it's obvious why they're doing it, so that, yeah, I just thought it was awful. I mean, they obviously do it that way for a reason, to again really punish the Reds for just existing, really. So that was they're also not allowed to bury their dead. They have to leave them hanging, and this is mentioned as well when Darrow talks about his father being hanged. He's left hanging for weeks, and I don't think he decides he doesn't want the same for Io, so he cuts her down and he buries her in a restricted area, and then he is taken away. Now we obviously think he's taken away by the Greys and he's about to die. And obviously that is not the case. He is actually taken by the Sons of Ares. So the Sons of Ares take Darrow up to the surface, and that's when he realises his entire life is a lie. He realises that the planet has been terraformed for years, everyone's living their life, and the Reds are basically kept as slaves. And Io was right. They haven't even just terraformed Mars, they've actually terraformed moons and other planets. So he agrees to work with the sons of Ares, and he's taken to someone called the Carver, who turns him into a gold via many surgeries. It's quite graphic in its descriptions of how he is changed into a gold, but I did quite like that. It shows that it's not easy to infiltrate in this society. It's not easy to infiltrate the caste in this society. Otherwise, they would have done it years ago, wouldn't they? This takes months. They even replace his eyes. And it takes months worth of surgery and physiotherapy and even just training in mannerisms and things like that. I'm guessing, it's not explicitly said, but I think it probably takes close to a year to transform him physically, mentally into a gold. He's not just thrown into it, and I do actually really like that. In a lot of books, you know, you get the chosen one, the hero, and they're just kind of thrust into it and they just excel at it, and it's not believable. And I really did like that it took, obviously it wasn't a big portion of the book because that would be quite boring to read, but the implication of time was there, and we know that he wasn't just, you know, you're a gold now, off you go. It took, I think, nearly a year of preparation from what is sort of described in the... So then later on he meets Cassius Bellona, who, if I remember rightly, plays quite an important part in Darrow's journey to obviously overthrowing the society. And he passes the border quality control, he gets into the Institute, and the Institute is where they, I guess, learn how to be an important member of... We are at this point told about the different houses of Mars and how they rule society, how it all works. And the world building is not just dumped on you, it's explained when it's relevant to the story. So we are learning this at the same time as Darrow. As Darrow, even though he has obviously lived on Mars, he has been completely oblivious to this society and how it all works. And again, I really like that we're learning all about this at the same time as him, but also when it's relevant, because I hate when world building is just sort of dumped on you at a relevant point in the story. Obviously there is still so much that we don't know, so much to learn. I'm also loving how dramatic this book is. You know, at one point Darrow's on like I think he's on sort of like a sort of aircraft. We meet Julian, who's Cassius's brother, and Julian is offended by something that someone else says, and he literally throws him a white glove, and that means he wants to duel him. I just love how dramatic it is. And yeah, so then obviously Darrow is taken to the Institute and there's a speech done and history of the world is explained, and it's explained why they don't believe in democracy, about the fall of Earth and how, you know, the Romans fell and the Greeks fell, and how Athens fell because of democracy, and how America fell and how Europe fell, which is quite interesting to read about. It's also explained why they believe, instead of democracy, the strongest and the most powerful should rule, which is obviously them, the golds. And they genuinely believe they are better than everyone else. They can't see why a democracy is a good thing. Io is mentioned in the speech and how she was a stupid girl and these stupid Reds, and this is why they don't deserve to even be on the surface of the planet. And they genuinely believe that, which is kind of sad, but also makes for a great story, because you're genuinely on Darrow's side. You really want him to infiltrate these golds, because from what we've seen, they are horrible people, they're awful, society is awful, and he should take them down. So it's just things like that that really make you back Darrow and really get on his side. The last bit I've just read is the passage. So the passage is mentioned quite a bit, but nobody knows what the passage is, and it's an important part of getting into the Institute. Now Darrow kills Julian in the passage. So what happens is, it's obvious that the Institute puts a stronger warrior against a weaker warrior, and unfortunately Julian was one of these sort of mid to low scorers for the Institute. Yeah, this book is brutal, it pulls no punches, it's absolutely fantastic. I forgot how early on that he does actually kill Julian. Yeah, it's absolutely brutal, just like the Roman Empire that it's based. I do love when books that are based on the Roman Empire actually really lean into it, and they are brutal, because a lot of books based on the Roman Empire sort of, they toe the line, they don't go there. You know, if you're going to base a book on the Roman Empire, be as brutal as the Romans were. So like I said, this is really fast paced. Moved on really quickly with the plot, considering we're only 140 pages in. Darrow killing Julian will ensure that him and Cassius become enemies, rivals later in the book. How long will Darrow be able to hide this from Cassius? I know that Cassius does find out, I just can't remember when he finds out. And again, the world and the hierarchy is so interesting, and I can't wait to find out more about how this world works. Obviously, we're now going into the Institute, so I think we're not going to see too much of sort of the world outside of the Institute, so we'll probably find out more about the world and the hierarchy in the next book. Those are my thoughts so far on Red Rising. I'm absolutely loving it. I'll check back in with you guys when I've got another reading update. Hi guys, so I'm just coming in with a quick reading update for Red Rising. I've got about 100 pages left, so I'll just quickly recap what I've just read and then give you all my thoughts. Pick up right after Darrow kills Julian. He feels so guilty for doing this, and this establishes him as being completely different from the Golds, as he has regard for human life, which is very clear throughout the next part of the book, that the Golds have no regard for even each other's lives. Then obviously Darrow meets back up with the rest of the Golds who have survived, and they feel no guilt in killing 50 Gold children. There's no remorse, they don't care, they justify it. Yeah, they justify it, saying there was no waste, as these 50 children were the bottom of the barrel. You know, they don't care. You know, natural selection and all that. And then next day we're straight into the main trial, and their job here is to conquer and be victorious. They're not allowed to kill anymore. And obviously they say that accidents happen. If there's an accidental killing, it's fine, but it's more about leading an army, conquering, rather than killing now. And here we learn more about Titus, and he is just absolutely awful. God, I hate him so much. He is the perfect Gold though. He has absolutely no regard for other people, for life, anything. He thinks he is the best of the best. He's the best Gold out there. It's quite hard to explain the game, but yeah, so one of the houses leaves some bread out, and this bit bread has actually been baked around razor blades, and obviously one of the houses eats it, and it's just so brutal. I'm loving the brutality, which sounds really horrible, sounds really weird, but I'm just loving that it's continuing to be so brutal. But it makes me think, is being like high up in the Gold Society worth all this? Like, is it really worth it? It doesn't seem it to me. And then, really horribly, Titus begins raping the Gold girls that he's captured. So he really will do anything to win. And this again just proves that he has no regard for any life, like even the Golds that he is supposed to be a part of. You know, a lot of them look down on the other colours. You know, the pinks are sort of the pleasure. You know, they're like the sex slaves and things like that. But they don't seem to care that, you know, the pinks get raped. But they care about the Golds. But Titus doesn't even care about the Golds. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, he really just thinks he's better than the rest of them. But it makes me think, do the Golds really want someone like that in charge of them? I know that whoever wins doesn't necessarily become like the arch-governor or anything like that, but they do earn a lot of respect in society, and it will get them like a better apprenticeship or a better job sort of after this. He's absolutely vile, and I was so glad when Cassius and Darrow killed him. Cassius even complains to Fitchener, which is like the teacher, the proctor, I'm not quite sure. I think he's the proctor, but he's sort of like, he plays a part in this challenge. He says that Titus is treating Gold girls like pinks. So even Cassius, who we've kind of grown to like, he sees Darrow as a brother. Like, even he has no regard for other life. Like, if it's not a Gold, he doesn't care. Like, he's quite happy for the pinks to be raped, but heaven forbid the Gold, you know, not that anyone should be, but it's just, you want to feel sorry for these people, and like, you want to root for them, but they just say things and you just think, you're a terrible person. And then the higher-ups won't do anything about Titus because he's not killing the girls. Even Antonia, one of the other Gold girls, says, and this is an actual quote, there's been no depletion of golden stock. So they don't even see each other as human, like, they're just stock, you know. However, Mustang from House Minerva does seem disgusted by the whole thing, so I don't know if maybe some of them are just more, not accepting, but more used to this kind of behaviour than others. But yeah, I really was starting to like Antonia, but yeah, just no, girl, no. We then find out that Titus is actually a red, so just like Darrow, he's been made to look like a Gold to infiltrate the Golds. However, he's obviously here for the same reason as Darrow, but he's taken it upon himself to just basically get revenge on the Golds. So Darrow finds out that someone Titus loved was raped by a gold, and this is why he's doing what he's doing to the Goldrars. He's getting revenge in his own way. He doesn't care like that. He doesn't care about the mission of the uprising and whatnot. He's just out for his own revenge, really. So Darrow makes the decision to kill him in order to protect himself. He sentences Titus to death, but Cassius demands that he does it because he thinks that Titus killed his brother Julian. And then we find out that Severo knows that Darrow killed Julian. Darrow duels Pax, and the terms of the duel are that the winner gets the other house's slaves. Darrow wins. They also then attack and conquer House Minerva, then betray House Diana. It's all a bit, there's a lot of betraying and backstabbing and whatnot. Darrow then achieves Primus status. Now, Primus status means you've basically won this competition. However, he is then betrayed by some of his friends. Cassius then finds out that Darrow killed Julian. They duel and Cassius leaves Darrow for dead. However, Mustang, who we thought was maybe dead, comes and saves him. And then we get to the point where Darrow realises it's all rigged. It's all set up so the current Arch-Governor's son wins, which is why when Darrow achieved Primus status, the competition should have ended. But it couldn't, because the Jackal, who is the Arch-Governor's son, has to win. So quite a lot has happened in the sort of 130 pages that I've just read. I am still really enjoying this one. As I said, it's continuing to be just as brutal as it began. There's so much betrayal. Like I said, you want to root for these characters, but they're just such horrible people that you just can't. And I really am on Darrow's side, and I can't wait for him to take down the horrible golds. Everyone, so I'm just checking back in as I have now finished Red Rising. So I'll just do a quick recap of the last 100 pages of the book. So I'll start with a quote that I think is really poignant to this book. "Man cannot be freed by the same injustice that enslaved it." And I think that is going to drive Darrow through his mission into taking down the golds and fixing the society. So Darrow realises in order to win the game, he doesn't need slaves, he needs followers. He needs people that truly believe in him, and he needs to win their loyalty to get them to choose to follow him so they will be loyal to him after the game as well. Darrow, Mustang and their followers decide to attack House Mars, which currently has Cassius as their leader. Shortly after this, they conquer House Ceres. Another thing that I've noticed throughout this book is the Golds are so proud of their family names. They believe that their family names can protect them from anything, even inside the game. For example, we've got the whole thing with the Arch-Governor trying to ensure that his son wins. And throughout this book, they'll say, "Oh, I'm Titus of House blah blah blah," and they really think that, like, Darrow gives a shit. Like, he doesn't give a shit. But yeah, they think that their name is more important than their actions. One of the rules for Darrow's army is that you cannot rape any of the slaves. Tactus ignores this and tries to rape one of the Ceres slaves that they have just taken. Darrow asks the girl what punishment she would like Tactus to face. She doesn't want him to face any punishment because nothing that they do to Tactus will change what he tried to do to her. Darrow decides that he can't not be punished, so decides to lash him 20 times. In order to gain loyalty from his followers, Darrow decides to also take 25 lashes, as nothing binds like pain shared. Even though Darrow cannot stand Tactus, this does earn Tactus's loyalty. They decide to go after House Apollo, however the Proctors are still interfering, so they do fail in their mission. Here in the story is where Mustang realises that the whole game is rigged for the Arch-Governor's son to win. Darrow is causing so many issues for the Proctors that they try to kill him with a bear. They continue to interfere and try to sow discord in Darrow's ranks. However, Darrow survives this attempt. Darrow manages to play them. He distracts them so that Severo and Tactus can take House Apollo, and they are victorious in this endeavour. Fitchner, one of the Proctors, speaks to Darrow directly and tells him to stop, know your place. He realises then that Fitchner is Severo's father. I think when Fitchner tells Darrow to know your place, this is really poignant. This is when Darrow really realises that it's not about the best candidate, it's all about family. And this goes back to the other candidates thinking that their family name is so important. It's not about the best candidate, it's all about who was born into power. Fitchner also warns Darrow that Mustang will betray him. Not long after this, Darrow decides to take House Jupiter. Finally meets the notorious Jackal and stabs his hand into the table. We also learnt that the Jackal and House Jupiter resorted to cannibalism when they had no food. Darrow then makes the Jackal cut his own hand off in order to free himself. The Proctors then intervene again. Jackal manages to kill Pax and then tries to kill Darrow. The Proctors then kidnap Mustang and threaten to kill her if Darrow does not start playing ball. So basically Darrow needs to lose his next encounter with the Jackal. Darrow then kills one of the Proctors and decides to attack the rest of the Proctors from where they are watching on Mount Olympus. We then learn that Mustang is the Jackal's twin sister, and Darrow has sent her off with half of his army to capture the Jackal. So he thinks that this is when Mustang will betray him. We also then re-encounter Cassius, who starts a blood feud with Darrow. So next time they meet each other, one of them will have to kill the other one. Cassius then surrenders as Primus of House Mars to Darrow. Mustang doesn't actually betray Darrow. She captures the Jackal and presents him to Darrow as a gift. This means Darrow wins the game. Mustang then tells Darrow about the blood feud between her house and Cassius's house, so House Augustus and House Bellona. Mustang also tells Darrow that she isn't as loyal to her father as people think. The game is then over. Darrow accepts a place in Arch-Governor Augustus's house. He will sponsor him through the academy, so he has done better than the Sons of Ares could ever have hoped for. And that's where the book finishes. Literally the last page is Darrow swearing fealty to House Augustus. So my final thoughts on this book. I loved how brutal it was. Like I said in a previous clip, I love when books inspired by the Roman Empire are as brutal as the Roman Empire was. This book pulled no punches. It was gory, it was brutal, it was brilliant. The world is so interesting as well. I'm really interested to learn more about the hierarchy, because even amongst the golds there's a hierarchy. You've got like iron golds, low golds. I'm really interested in the next book for this entire world to be opened up and explored more. Darrow has made quite a few gold friends. We've got Severo, we've got Mustang. The rest he probably wouldn't necessarily call friends, but I'm just thinking, will he be able to betray them when the time comes? Because obviously there's going to be a point in this series where he's going to have to choose the golds or the reds. Will he be able to betray his new friends? Also, considering this is set over 2 years, I think it's about 2 years. This is so fast-paced and action-packed. It was absolutely brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I love this, and I'm going to give this one 5 out of 5 stars. I did originally rate this 4.5 out of 5, but I'm going to bump it up to a 5-star. I've now read Red Rising. On to the next one, Golden Sun. Hi guys, so it's been a couple of weeks, but I have now started reading Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I'm about 200 pages in so far, so I'll give you a quick synopsis of what's happened so far. So this one is set 2 years after Darrow wins at the Institute, and we are straight into a battle, a starship battle to be specific. This is where Darrow and Carnus, which is Cassius's older brother, are fighting. Darrow believes he is winning, however Carnus has a surprise in store for him, and in the end Darrow loses. He loses the battle and he loses a lot of respect. Again, straight in chapter 1, we're reminded that the golds have no regard for human life, even within the golds. Over 800 people have died for a silly game, for a test to see who's the strongest. Surely at this point we know who's the strongest. Do we really need to be losing all these lives? Shortly after this, Carnus and some of his cousins find Darrow. They beat him really badly, but they do not kill him because he is Cassius's kill. Now this whole thing with the blood feud is so hypocritical. Obviously, Darrow killed Julian, which is Carnus and Cassius's brother. However, Carnus and Cassius also had to kill someone to enter the academy. Why is it okay for them to kill someone, another gold, but it's not okay for Darrow? This whole thing is just so hypocritical. I understand it because he was their brother. However, they also killed someone's brother or sister. Why is it okay for them and not for Darrow? At the end of the day, he did what he had to do to enter the academy. Because of the blood feud between Darrow and Cassius, the Arch-Governor Augustus, who is sponsoring Darrow, decides to sell him at an auction. Darrow is causing him too many issues and too many embarrassments. He is not worth it. After Darrow finds this out, he travels to Luna and meets the Jackal, which is the Arch-Governor's son. The Jackal reveals that he intends to buy Darrow's contract off his father, and that he is planning on killing the Sons of Ares to win back his father's approval. Whilst Darrow is talking to the Jackal, he comes across someone from the Sons of Ares who was there when he was made. They recognise him and lead him away to talk to him privately. Here, she reveals that she is planning on killing the Jackal. Darrow decides that this does not fit in with his own plans and decides to save the Jackal from the bombing. Darrow then reunites with the rest of the Sons of Ares and realises that so much has changed in the organisation in the 3 years that he's been undercover. Dancer, the person who originally saved him from his hanging, is dead and someone else is in charge, and they are running things very differently. They will stop at nothing to take down the Gold Society, including killing innocents, which Darrow is not on board with. However, whilst talking to the Sons of Ares, he finds out that his wife Io was pregnant at the time that she was hanged. He breaks down and decides that actually he agrees and there's nothing that he won't do to bring down the Gold Society, including killing innocents. Darrow reunites with the Jackal after saving his life, and the Jackal reveals that he believes someone within his father's house is trying to kill him and plants someone else as his father's heir. Whilst with the Sons of Ares, Darrow planned to set a bomb off at an important gala and kill lots of important members of the Gold Society, including the Sovereign. Whilst at this gala, Darrow has a change of heart and instead decides that civil war amongst the Golds is the best way to bring them down, rather than killing them all altogether. He decides to challenge Cassius to a blood duel to see why the Sovereign is favouring House Bologna so much. When it looks like Darrow is about to kill Cassius, the Sovereign steps in and changes the rules of the duel to either death or yielding, rather than just death. This clearly shows her favour of House Bologna to the other houses, and they are not happy. As the duel continues, Darrow takes Cassius's sword arm, and then all hell breaks loose. After narrowly escaping with their lives, Darrow meets the Sovereign, and he works out with a weird game of truth or dare that she had planned for House Bologna to assassinate Arch-Governor Augustus and all of those at his table at the gala. Mustang is currently working for the Sovereign. She overhears this and is not happy. The Sovereign believes that the Sons of Ares are bombing Mars and trying to kill everyone because Augustus killed Io. She doesn't believe that they're mad at the way society is run. She believes that they have a vendetta against Augustus specifically, which is why she wants to take out House Augustus and install Bologna in their place. Mustang sides with the Sovereign against her house, but Darrow believes that she is playing a game just like him. She is trying to take the Sovereign down from the inside in the same way that he is trying to take down the Gold Society from the inside. The Sovereign attacks Augustus's home, and with Mustang's help, Darrow manages to save many lives. He takes Lysander hostage, which is the Sovereign's grandson, and again they narrowly escape with their lives. When they're on the ship, however, Tacitus, which is one of Darrow's friends from the Institute, betrays them and takes off with Lysander. And that is where I've left it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this book so far. What a surprise. We're straight into the action, which I love, and then it's just more action, more action, more action. It never stops. There's so many twists and turns in this that you don't see coming. I'm just so impressed by it. I genuinely have no idea where this is going to go. Obviously, I read this book a couple of years ago, but I've genuinely forgotten so much about it that it's basically like reading it again for the first time. There's also so much that Darrow even keeps from the reader. Considering that we're reading from his perspective, there's a lot of things that are a surprise to us that he just keeps out of the narrative. So it's even a shock to the reader what's going to happen sometimes. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. And obviously, it's still as brutal as the first one. So yeah, I'll check back in with you guys when I've got another update. Hey guys, so I've now finished part 3 of Golden Sun. I'll just give you a quick update on what's happened now. So Darrow manages to capture one of the Sovereign ships, and sadly Quinn is injured and dies. And it's here that Darrow learns that Severo is working with the Sons of Ares. House Augustus is effectively exiled from Mars as all their allies from the other houses are abandoning them. The Arch-Governor then reveals that the Arch-Governor or the Sovereign is not enough for him. He wants to be the King of Mars. And we also then discover some of the history between the feud between House Augustus and House Bologna, and it goes back generations. Tacitus comes back to Darrow's side, but is unfortunately killed soon after. Now, my point here is everyone seems to be betraying everyone. How does Darrow even know who to trust? Why does he just blindly let Tacitus back in? You know, Tacitus has betrayed him quite a few times, and Darrow was just forgiving him straight away and just letting him straight back in. It's just, considering that Darrow is trying to take down the Golds, I understand that he's got to pretend to be a Gold in order to take down the Golds, but considering someone who's betrayed you so many times before, why would you let them straight back in? Like, it's just odd, and everyone seems to be betraying everyone, and I'm not saying it gets a bit tired to read about it, but when it happens again and again and Darrow is still surprised, just kind of like, come on, like, we saw this coming, you know? It's just, he's quite naive, I think, when it comes to that. Nero or Augustus, which is the Arch-Governor, is captured and betrayed by one of the people working for him, Pliny. His son, the Jackal, is also captured. Darrow reveals the truth about himself to Ragnar, who's an obsidian. He tells him about how he's a red and about how he was carved into a gold. And then we also have a bit of monologue with Darrow where he's confused about his feelings for Mustang. He doesn't feel like he should be feeling this way about Mustang, especially considering the fact that he's still really in love with his wife Io. So there's a bit of back and forth on that. And to be honest, you kind of think like you've got bigger worries at the moment than your romantic feelings, but I guess, you know, it's another bit of the plot to add in. So then Darrow and his fleet prepare to fight House Bologna and their allies. Darrow's plan is to capture the Sovereign and take her out of the equation so that then the rest of the houses will fight over the power and then commence the civil war amongst the Golds. He believes he's come up with a brilliant plan, but actually leads his forces into an ambush, and that is where part 3 ends. So yeah, quite a bit has happened since I last updated you. There's a lot of fighting, like there's not really much to say about that because it's just constant. We finish one fight, we're straight into another fight, straight into another battle, straight into another fight, and obviously Darrow's losing allies along the way, people are killing, we're seeing people that we sort of not grew to love, but you know, people that we were aware of, because obviously we're on the red side here. We don't really want the Golds to win. When a Gold dies, I guess it's one less gold for Darrow to take out. Yeah, sometimes when the Golds die, especially when it's people like Tactus, who I didn't really ever like and I never really trusted, just kind of like, oh well, it's one less for Darrow to deal with. But yeah, like this, again, this continues to be really fast paced, and in a way almost a bit too fast paced. Like I said, we go constantly, like I said, we go straight from one battle to another, and there's only like brief mentions of any injuries. Like not many of them seem to get injured, apart from if they do, they literally die. So it's literally either survive or die. There's not really any injuries. But yeah, I have no idea how this is going to go. Obviously there's a few things again that Darrow has kept from the reader that we've then discovered as his allies discover it. So I'm sure he's got something up his sleeve. But yeah, we'll find out. I have no idea where this is going to go, but yeah, I'm really excited to find out actually. And I think if I remember rightly, this ends on a cliffhanger, but I can't remember what the cliffhanger is. So I guess that'll be exciting when it happens. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this one still, and I'll check back in with you guys when I have finished it. So I've now finished Golden Sun. That ending, I completely forgot everything that happened. I mean, there was obviously hints throughout the book, because Mustang kept saying to Darrow that the Jackal was going to betray him and not to trust him, so there was kind of a bit of foreshadowing there. But then why does Darrow trust anyone at this point? Like, they were all out to betray each other. Yeah, just wow. So let's recap the last 100 pages of this book, and then I'll tell you my final thoughts. So obviously the end of part 3, Darrow is essentially leading his forces into an ambush, and it's not looking good for them. He manages to find Ragnar and Sevro barely alive. So Darrow gives Ragnar, who's an obsidian, a weapon that's only ever been wielded by Golds. The Golds, even on Darrow's side, are horrified by this, and one of them almost even turns against Darrow. However, they can see that they've got no choice. It's either give the Obsidians, the Blues, the Pinks, etc. weapons, or they're all gonna die. Now, what I find funny is that they're more bothered by someone having a weapon that only they're supposed to use, rather than the fact that it looks like they're about to die, they almost died. It's just like weird priorities. Like even in death, they're still like, no, we must obey the colour system, you know, they must not have this weapon. It's just like, seriously, like sort your priorities out, like you're gonna die. But yeah, so Darrow manages to board the Sovereign's ship as they are fleeing, and Karnas begs to kill Darrow. However, the Sovereign will not let him because the Bologna family have lost her Mars, and he does not have that honour. A fight ensues, and then Darrow manages to kill Karnas. There's a bit of an altercation, and Fitchner then reveals that he is actually Ares, and him and Darrow then escape. So after all this time, it's been revealed that Ares is actually a Gold. And then later on in the book, we do find out why Fitchner founded the Sons of Ares, why he's fighting in the rebellion. Then the Jackal and Augustus managed to escape capture, and it's revealed that only Cassius and his mother are left from House Bologna. Whilst Darrow is recovering from near death, him and Mustang then give into their feelings for each other. The Jackal then manages to capture some of the Sons of Ares, however he does not manage to capture them for long. There is a rescue mission, they escape, and it's also revealed that Dancer isn't actually dead, and Dancer is the one from the first book that Darrow met from the Sons of Ares. He was the leader, well, not the leader because obviously Fitchner was Ares, but Dancer was kind of like second in command, and then Harmony took over, and that's when the Sons of Ares kind of changed their way of working. So yeah, it's nice to see that Dancer isn't dead. So we find out that Fitchner is Ares, and the story behind this is that he fell in love with a red. Their DNA isn't compatible, so they had to get a carver, a bit like how they changed Darrow's DNA, they had to change her DNA to make them compatible so they could have a child. And that's Sevro. Sevro is half red, half gold. And then the Board of Quality Control, a few years down the line, or it's not implied, but a bit of time passes, and they're investigating this Carver, and he just gives them up, and they kill Sevro's mum, the Red. And that's that. And then Fitchner tells Darrow that he is to let Augustus adopt him as his heir, and that will put him in the best position for the Sons of Ares. Darrow decides before he goes any further with Mustang, he's going to reveal the truth about himself. He takes her to the red mine that he grew up in, and he gives her a hollow video of his carving so she learns the truth about him. Darrow then also reunites with his mum, and they have a bit of a catch up. It's nice to know that Darrow's mum knows that he's alive. Mustang is obviously betrayed by Darrow. You know, it's been 4 years that he's essentially lied to him, or at least withheld the truth. And with everything that's gone on with their family, how everyone betrays each other, she thought she could trust Darrow, and turns out that she can't. And there's a bit of a fight, and then she just leaves him. And then we get to Darrow's triumph, which is like a parade for him winning in the battle against the Bolognas, I guess, or for his victory. And then, as Mustang predicted, after Darrow's triumph parade, the Jackal turns on him. So the Jackal poisons Darrow, and then his allies arrive in the form of Cassius and the Sovereign's allies. There's a lot of fighting, it's absolute chaos, and then the Jackal also reveals to his father that he was the reason, or the cause, of his older brother's death. And obviously Jackal's older brother was the Archgovernor Augustus's favourite child, so he is absolutely devastated. And then the Jackal shoots him in the head, so that's the end of him. And even Darrow's like, what the hell, he was meant to be my kill. So yeah, the Archgovernor is dead. Darrow is paralysed from the poison, and at the very end of the book, Rook, who is supposed to be Darrow's friend and ally, presents Darrow with Fitchner's head in a box. So the leader of the Sons of Ares is dead. So it's not looking good for Darrow and the rebellion at this point. Yeah, literally the last sentence is him being presented with the head in the box. So I've got no idea how Darrow is going to get out of this. I mean, like I just said, it's really not looking good for him or the rebellion. So yeah, my final thoughts on this book. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? It's just drama, battles, there's just so much going on. This is definitely not a filler book. So much happens in this. I mean, I feel like more authors need to take a page out of Pierce Brown's books with middle books, you know. This was fantastic. I'm still loving how the Roman Empire aspects and the Mars and sort of the futuristic aspects are so well mashed together. You've got the characters, you know, dueling one another, and on my honour, you've insulted my honour, and my father, and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. It's just so dramatic, but it's in a futuristic setting, and it's mashed together so well. Like, yeah, hats off to Pierce Brown. It's absolutely amazing. I just want to pick up the third book straight away, but I feel like I should read something else. But yeah, just absolutely amazing, incredible. Like, yeah, I'm gonna give this, I think, 4.5 out of 5 stars, because for me, when it was sort of in the middle of sort of the first third of this book, it was just sort of battle, and it was getting a bit, not tedious, but I mean, it's how the plot was progressing. But definitely, like, the last 100 pages was where, like, it got quite interesting for me personally. That's just my opinion. Otherwise it probably would have been a 5-star. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited to pick up the next one. Like, that ending, it's just so dramatic. Like, head in a box with grapes in the mouth, like, wow. Hey everyone, so I'm about to begin reading Morning Star by Pierce Brown, which is the final book. I have to say, I'm incredibly nervous, but I'm going to go through some of my predictions for what's going to happen. I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, this is all over the place. First of all, I think Cassius and Sevro are going to die. I think there's going to be sort of like a final showdown between Darrow and Cassius. I think Cassius is going to die. Or I think maybe they'll, like, bury the hatchet kind of thing. I really don't know where that's going to go. And I think Sevro's going to die, mainly because of how close him and Darrow have become. I think with how many characters have died that are quite close friends with Darrow, I think Severo is going to be like the heartbreaking death in this book. I think Mustang is going to be on Darrow's side. She's been up on his side, you know, the whole way through. Even when she found out that he was a red, she, as far as we're aware, didn't betray him. So I think she is going to be on his side, and this is going to come about maybe halfway through the book. We're going to be reunited with her, and she's going to be having done stuff to help Darrow this whole time. Yeah, I do think that the rebellion will be victorious. I do think, however, there will be a big cost to this, and there's obviously going to be a couple of loose ends, because I do know there is obviously 3 more books and another one that's going to be published in 2025. So yeah, there's definitely going to be some loose ends. But yeah, I'm really excited and very nervous to dive into this one. So let's get going. So I have now read the first 180 pages of Morning Star. So we'll just recap what's happened so far, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts and maybe some theories that I've got. So the book begins approximately 1 year after the end of Golden Sun, and it's revealed that the Jackal has been torturing and holding Darrow captive this whole time. He's been held in a hole in the ground, where he's finally removed and then given to Cassius and the Sovereign to be dissected, as they know that he's a red who was carved into a gold. They want to know how this has happened, because as far as they're aware, it shouldn't be possible. Darrow is rescued by the Sons of Ares, which are now led by Severo, and he is reunited with his family. He was led to believe that his family was held captive by the Jackal, but this turns out to obviously be a lie. However, they all believe that he was executed 9 months ago, and they revealed that they stopped looking for him. Severo was the only one that believed Darrow was still alive. He begins his recovery and finally joins the Howlers as a member. They go on their first mission, but things don't go quite to plan. We encounter Mustang for the first time since Darrow revealed the truth about himself. She doesn't seem to recognize him, she seems a bit indifferent to him. They do manage to capture Quicksilver, which is one of the Jackal's main allies. However, Quicksilver claims to be one of the founding Sons of Ares. After a bit of interrogation, they realise that this is the truth. Severo and Darrow, throughout the first 180 pages, have come to quite a few disagreements on how the war should be progressing and the tactics that they're using. They eventually have a physical fight and then sort of make up and decide going forward they're both in charge, they're both going to discuss things, and they're going to take a different sort of stride in the war. They're going to go down a different path. Severo wanted to sort of blow everything up, but Darrow didn't think this was the right way forward. So because of this new sort of tactic that they've got, they managed to recruit a lot more colours to the rebellion, where they currently are on Phobos. I think that's how it's pronounced. So yeah, that's where I'm up to so far. So my thoughts on this one, again, starting straight in the action, you know, within like the first like 3 chapters, he's rescued. You know, we're straight into the action. There's no filler chapters. There's no, like, you know, the second book was just absolutely fantastic. Usually the middle book in the trilogy is like a filler book, but there was so much happening in here, and again, it's just carried on straight through the third book, sorry, you know, straight into the action. Fantastic. Had me hooked from the first page. Everything that's happening as well is so important to the plot. You think it's just like a sort of passing comment, you know, someone sat at a table, and then a couple of chapters later it's revealed this massive secret about them, and there's so much going on. It's not difficult to keep up, but it's like you've got to pay attention to everything, which I love. There's no sort of like skimming. You've got to pay attention to everything. I have no idea what is going to happen, you know. In the previous books, everyone's betrayed everyone. You know, it turns out someone's actually on the other side this whole time. I have no idea what's going to happen. And literally anything could happen. You know, it could turn out that Severo is leading the Sons of Ares, but he's actually on the side of the Golds the whole time. Like, nothing would surprise me in this book. Something could happen, and I genuinely would just be like, oh yeah, of course. Like, it's just absolutely fantastic. You've got no idea what's going to happen. I'm so annoyed. Like, I've got to go out, and I just want to read this whole thing. Like, I don't want to put this down, which is such a good sign for a book. But yeah, I definitely think this is going to be a 5-star read. You know, the whole series has been absolutely fantastic so far, but this one is definitely going to be a 5-star. Fingers crossed it stays as fantastic as it started. But yeah, I'm really excited to continue, and I'm just gutted that I've got to go out. I just want to sit and read this. But yeah, I will check back in with you guys when I've read a bit more. Probably check back in when I've only got a little bit left of the book, because I want to sort of go through my final predictions and then see if I'm right. But yeah, I just want to read this all day. Hey guys, so I've now read up to part 4 of Morning Star. I've got about 120-ish pages left. So let's recap what's happened, and then I'll go through my final thoughts, predictions before I finish this book. So Mustang properly reunites with Darrow and she adds her armies to the rebellion. When fleeing Phobos, I think, they crash land and Cassius' ship is chasing them and also crash lands. Cannibals start picking off Cassius' team until only 4 remain. Himself, Aja, and 2 other unnamed golds. Darrow's crew catches them up and they fight. Mustang injures Cassius, Aja injures Ragnar, and then Mustang also injures Cassius. I've also now learnt not to believe that anyone is dead until it's explicitly said on the page. Ragnar is then confirmed dead. He's suffering from his injuries and there's no chance of surviving, and he asks Darrow to kill him. Ragnar's sister finds them, who then takes them as prisoners to her mother. Her mother then attempts to give them over as prisoners to the government, the sovereign, so the people that Cassius are fighting for. Ragnar's sister Steph helps them and then kills her own mother. Darrow and Mustang and the team make it back to the Sons of Ares base, taking Cassius with them as a prisoner. He speaks to Darrow and they exchange information. It turns out that the Jackal is falsifying reports on the production of helium-3 and he's skimming off the top. So he's blaming the lack of production on the Reds who are rebelling when actually it's him who's taken from the top. He's also stolen 500 nuclear warheads, which is enough to destroy a planet. Cassius thought that it was the Sons of Ares who had stolen this, so he is now worried that the Jackal plans to basically blow up Mars. It's kind of like, if I can't have it, no one can kind of thing. Darrow and Mustang managed to gather some more allies, and that's kind of like the main bulk of sort of the middle section of this book. And then there is a space battle between Darrow's forces and Roke, who betrayed them in the previous novel. The battles are written so well, like it's really easy to follow along with what's happening. It's so detailed and just so well written. It feels like you're in the ships with the characters. And then Roke won't surrender. He's more concerned with honor rather than surviving. And instead of surrendering to Darrow's forces, he kills himself. So that is where we've just got to. So yeah, it's been a bit wild. I'm very nervous to go into the final section of this book. So my thoughts are, I don't think Cassius is going to die. Or if he does, I think he might like sacrifice himself to save Darrow. It seems that they're kind of not rebuilding a friendship. I don't think Cassius will ever forgive Darrow for what he did. They kind of are both reluctant to kill one another. I'm really not sure where that's going to go. Either Cassius is going to die protecting Darrow, or I think there might be some kind of like, not redemption, but yeah, I've literally got no idea what is going to happen. Like it could, literally anything could happen and it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I'm very nervous to go into this final section of the book, but I can't wait to finish. I just know that these last 120 pages are going to be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, let's get reading them. I finished it. Wow. So let's go over what happened in the last bit of the book. So it seems like Darrow and Cassius kind of made amends. Like I really wasn't sure whether to actually trust Cassius or not. I mean, everyone betrays everyone in this book. I don't trust anyone. Victra then captures her sister Antonia and the fleet and manages to get the fleet back onto Darrow's side. The Jackal then captures Darrow's Uncle Narrow and executes him and broadcasts it for Darrow to see. Darrow then decides, before a big fight on Luna, to let Cassius go, as he believes that whilst they're fighting on Luna, some of his forces might break into the cells and kill Cassius. Whilst he's then freeing Cassius, Cassius then betrays him and shoots Severo in the chest 6 times. He frees Antonia from the cell, and together they escape on the escape pod that Darrow had planned for Cassius, and they take Darrow, Mustang, and Severo's body straight to Aja and the Sovereign. They then present the Sovereign and Aja with Severo's body and Darrow, and the Jackal orders Cassius to cut off Darrow's hand, which he does, which shows to me that Cassius has betrayed him after all this time. Like, what are you doing? The Sovereign then sentences Antonia to death for treason and for betraying Rook and fleeing to save her own skin. Antonia is then strangled by Aja. The Sovereign then allows the Jackal to execute Darrow, and this is broadcasted live. The broadcast begins and the Jackal decides to shoot Darrow with Severo's gun. The gun misfires or backfires. There's something wrong with the gun and it doesn't kill Darrow. And then Cassius starts killing everyone. He kills a Praetorian guard, so he's on their side after all. And then there's a big fight. Darrow stabs the Sovereign, and then Cassius, Mustang, and Darrow all fight Aja together because she's just so powerful. and in the end it takes all of them to bring her down. And it turns out Severo isn't actually dead. There was mentions in the series about a like concoction that can send people to a death-like state. Obviously that happened to Darrow in the first book. That's how he was managed to join the rebellion. And then at the start of this book there's something called snake bite, which like brings Darrow back, and they use that on Severo. So Severo wasn't actually dead. He was shot, but there was like a sort of like, they explain it better in the book, but he was like carved, so he didn't actually get shot. Yeah, Severo's back. So the four of them manage to take down Aja. The Sovereign then dies from her wounds, so it's just the Jackal left. And this is still all being broadcast live as well. And Jackal reveals that the nuclear warheads that he stole are actually on Luna, and he begins to detonate them. Darrow manages to overpower him, and he pulls out his tongue so he can't give any more orders. Unfortunately, 12 of the nuclear warheads go off before they're able to stop them. Mustang then becomes the new Sovereign. The Jackal is hanged. Mustang begins to dismantle the colour system, but this is going to take time. She's working towards a better society for everyone. Cassius and Darrow depart. Cassius is going to be raising Lysander, which was the Sovereign's grandson or son. I'm not sure if it was the son. Must be the grandson. I think that's going to be the loose end that ties into the next series, because Severo does even say, like, you've left an egg in a pit viper nest or something like that. What does he say? It's like leaving a pit viper egg under your seat. Sooner or later it's going to hatch. I think that's what the next series is going to be about, Lysander wanting revenge. But yeah, Cassius and Darrow depart. I don't know if as friends, like they call each other brother, but it's like they don't want to see each other again. I'm not really sure. I mean, a lot has happened between them, so it kind of makes sense. And then it's revealed that Mustang and Darrow have a child together. So while Darrow was being held hostage and underground with a Jackal, Mustang had the baby, and she kept this from Darrow because he didn't need that pressure. You know, he needed to do what he needed to do. So yeah, this was absolutely fantastic. Such a good end to the series. I'm definitely going to give this one 5 stars, but I think the whole series, I know I gave the first one like a 4.5 and whatnot, but this entire series is a 5-star series. It's absolutely incredible, and I'm so glad that I reread this before going into the second trilogy, because I had forgotten so much of what happened. Like, absolutely fantastic. Just as good the second time around. Absolutely brilliant. This author is absolutely fantastic. He pulls no punches. Just fantastic. And I just had no clue what was going to happen the entire time. And I love when you read a book and you just can't predict anything that's going to happen. It can literally go anywhere. It keeps you on your toes, it keeps you reading. It's just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that is the end of this spoiler reading vlog. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed seeing me reread this series. Comment down below if you've read this series and let me know what you guys think. But yeah, that's it for me today, guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more bookish content from me. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!